Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about disagreeing. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, when your manager doesn't agree with you and asks you to do something the way that he suggests, would you disagree and commit to doing what he/she says? And would disagreeing first create a negative impression? Yes. Yes to both. So this is one of those situations where it's hard for me to say this or that about it because it depends on the manager and the way that you are presenting things. So if I, for example, say to you that yes, you should disagree and sort of speak your mind, well, that sort of comes down to, can you express yourself in a way that is palatable for your manager? And that also depends on your manager. Is your manager immature or aggressive or anything like that, or is it a reasonably quote unquote normal person that can handle that someone doesn't agree? So the way that I like to approach things is that I try to explain my reasoning for believing something in the most concrete terms that I can. Basically, what I try to do is to follow, well, for those of you who have studied rhetoric, classic rhetoric, where there is something we call the discovery phase, and the basic idea is just that you're trying to present or figure out what arguments you actually have for a certain viewpoint. And so what I do is that I try to detach myself emotionally from the subject, which works usually fairly well for me. There are situations where I can't actually do that, and that is a very bad situation for me. I'm trying to work on that. And then I simply explain to, in this case, my manager, I believe A, B, and C because if you do that, things like whatever is going to happen, or we're going to be in a worse position, or there are more efficient way, and so forth and so forth. And then you request that the person answers those arguments, because that's how an argument should work if it's done in a clean and grown-up way. In a bad, well, in a bad environment or an immature environment where there are more heated discussions, usually doesn't go that way. An argument can turn very ugly very quickly, because it might be the case that, and I've seen this happen many times, guys, sometimes you're discussing a topic with someone who is extremely emotionally invested into whatever you're saying, and they will take offense at anything you say. They don't have to be super sensitive, but this is like the communication parts, the soft skills that we've talked so much about, where all of that comes in. So the way that I usually handle it, as I said, is that I simply present what I think, and I've had this many, many, many times. And sometimes, guys, you simply cannot handle the, like, there's no way for you to say something other than being completely positive. Guys, I've been in companies where stating that there is something we should think about, or there is an issue with this, and explaining in rational terms why that is, was enough to tip my manager over to, you're always so negative. And I go, no, I'm not negative. I'm just saying that if you, in this case, it was they wanted to set up a payment provider system for our tiny little startup, and I said, well, the problem with that, I would say, is that before we do that, we should probably fix a few minor things, such as that nobody here knows anything about PCI or PSD, I can't remember now, PCI compliance and credit card management and so forth, because there's like an entire law book around being compliant, which is one of the reasons why companies such as Klarna and PayPal and so forth are a popular choice for a lot of web vendors who are selling or retailers and so forth, because it's actually a very complicated area. That was enough for them to say to me basically that, well, you're very negative, Frederick, and I don't agree with you, and so forth and so forth. And I would like you to keep your thoughts to yourself. And in a situation with that, guys, like that, guys, there's very little you can do. You basically either you shut up or you face the music. And I've been in both situations where I've kept my mouth shut and just continued. It's very difficult for me to do this. I'm very sorry, because I'm just not the sort of person where I just don't have that part that makes me just go along with things that I don't believe in. Even if I can sustain a a state where I don't speak my mind, internally it is killing me, and as soon as I get a chance, I usually find that it bubbles up to the surface anyway, in everything from passive aggressive comments to all kinds of things that I don't really like doing, but it's not something that I can do so much about. And so I would rather have honestly said what I believe and tried my best to convince people, and then have them say, no, I don't agree with that. And the thing is, guys, it's not like I am always right about things. It's just that the thing that I crave is that you rationally explain to me why we're doing this. If I can't see the logic and reason in the reasons why my manager is doing A, B, or C, or so forth and so on, and I can't in any way really relate to it, that's why I don't really like arguing with emotional people who have no reason for anything, because I don't respect their viewpoint usually. Well, that has mostly to do with me. If that is the case, well, I usually clash with these people very, very quickly. So, what I want you to take away from this is that I would definitely disagree and commit, and I've done so on many, many occasions, guys. And the key thing here for you, if you want to go this route, is that you have to understand how to disagree like an adult. And usually, the way you disagree is that you don't start, don't start just pouring how bad things are. Just don't leave the emotions at the door, if you can, because it's much, much, much better for you. You can take a look at looking at the great debaters of in ancient Greece, and in more modern times and so forth, and you'll see the same thing with politicians and so forth. Guys, it takes a bit of practice, but it is possible to take a stand and say that you don't agree with something without resorting to petty comments and insults and things like that, and basically it becoming a confrontation. If you can learn how to argue in a constructive way, usually, at least in my experience, most people are okay with that. Some people are super, super sensitive. Guys, I've been in a conversation more than a few times where someone tried 3 or 4 times to explain, oh, we should do, I can't remember now, there was policy-based authentication, and we should do this because it's awesome and awesome and awesome. And I said, I don't agree. No, I don't agree. And until they finally got so frustrated that they said, well, if you just care about what you think yourself, then there's no point in having this discussion. And I said, well, actually, I am listening to you. And because they made a comment saying that you don't listen to anybody but yourself. And I go, no, I listen to everybody. It's just that I don't agree with you. I have heard everything you said. I have understood your point, and I understand why you feel this way. I just don't agree with your rationality. And that was enough for them to basically hate my guts. So in some cases you can't do it, and that comes down, we can discuss if that is your fault, their fault, immaturities and so forth. But the practical thing that's going to happen in that situation is that yes, you will have some type of negative impression. And this is why I tell people that for the same reason it's a good idea to have savings and learning how to do basic self-defense things and things like that. This is the same sort of situation. If you're scared that something negative might come your way, well, then you always have to be quiet and just go along. The only time you really have the option of taking a stand about anything is when you have things set up so that you always have the option of walking away. And that is my greatest tip to you. Learn how to discuss things in a rational way, understand when you can't make headway and when to disagree and commit, and when to basically just walk away. And always have that option. Always have the option of walking away, because if you have that option, you can always stay true to yourself. Have a great day.